And welcome back to the Delaware Boys Dynasty Football Podcast, sponsored again by yours truly, Yards Per Fantasy. I am Stephen Chalmers, joined as always by my co-host, partner in crime, Mr. Ryan Odell. Delly, say what's up to the people.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Today, another mock draft. We got people waiting in the lobby. You guys are used to the intro for these. Let's just get this one rolling, baby.
Yeah.
But to anybody joining, thank you for joining in for the start of this. We appreciate you coming in, checking out the show. Just trying to get straight to the money.
I don't see a lot of people online here, but we're going to do it.
You better hate mocks by jumping because I like you guys.
Yeah. So for all you guys, as we get this content going out, your rookie draft should be starting soon. A lot of people don't tend to wait for these things. So if your rookie draft hasn't started yet, that's what these are for. Just give you an idea what kind of ADP we have going on here and just see where players are going. First player I'm going to tell you probably is going to fall is Drake Maye.
Yes.
Drake Maye has been falling 1.8, 1.9. Seen him as low as 1.10. A lot of it came out after Plexico Burress said that the Patriots made a mistake. That came out earlier this week.
Really?
Yep. Gerard Mayo said,
put in his 2 cents.
Gerard Mayo said that Drake Maye has a lot to work on, but a lot of his slow release tendencies were the first thing that were brought up.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's, we kind of talked about it last time. It's most people's pinpoint of like a flaw on Drake Maye is the release time. And I don't know. I mean, yeah, sure, that definitely affects things in the game of football now where everything is out of your hand as quick as possible. But I still think he's got the tools to what it takes to get the ball out regardless. I mean, off the top of my head, I'm not sure how great New England's offensive line is, but as long as they got a decent one, he can kind of stay in that pocket for a little longer to get the ball out and be just fine.
Isn't there the consensus number one? Well, I mean, be honest with you, there's a lot of players that have had slow release times that have figured it out in the league. Phillip Rivers being my number one example. Always have Phillip Rivers as the number one example here. I'm not saying he's going to be Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers all time, top 10 all time, yards, touchdowns, all that. But at the same time, I've always been a fan of Drake Maye. I don't understand the slide. That's just me. But so we have a first auto pick of the night. That's the way I love to start it. That being Caleb. And now we
great start. Great start to auto. But I think Caleb's probably the pick for most people anyway. So I don't think that, it affects too much. I just hope he can get here for his next pick at the 2-1. So we get a true value on these guys.
And we got Marv. These picks aren't uncommon. Things get dicey once we get past 1-7.
Honestly, I was going to say, as a whole, after the 1-2, it gets dicey. Everybody's got their own rankings and own personal opinions on these guys. I mean, yeah, sure, Drake Maye sliding for a lot of people, but somebody could say, hey, he stole my 1-3 like he was 2 months ago and not sway their opinion.
Nah. The consensus top 7 is still the consensus top 7.
That's one. See number 2.
Bro Cal was just here too.
Bro Cal was just here, so we're going to count on him to show up. I'm going to get him a little ad here.
He did ask me before the draft started, what time. So maybe someone was coming in too.
Oh, he's here now. As soon as I send the message, of course, no doubt. Jayden Daniels, no doubt. I mean, right now, definitely the 1-3. He's been a riser, though. I mean, a lot of people are catching on to the whole rushing style of quarterback.
I got Jayden Daniels at 1-7 in your draft, just so you know.
Yeah, I know. I was there. I remember.
I still don't agree with he's the 1-3, though. I don't agree with that statement at all.
1-6 on the board. Kind of falls out how I thought it would. Kind of got a tough decision here. To be honest with you. I mean, there's 3 guys here, obviously, that I think lock it in. Being Odunze, Bowers, and McCarthy. But I think, for me at least, despite the landing spot in Oakland, I still think Brock Bowers deserves and is a perennial tight end prospect. Probably one of the best we've seen in a long time.
Okay. Well, fair enough. That's who I wanted to pick, but it is what it is. I'm going to go ahead, take my guy here. Again, I'm going to always practice patience with this pick.
Yep.
Odunze should be a stud long-term, dynasty-wise. Again, rare breed, 6'2", over 200 pounds, solid athletic testing, solid to great athletic testing at the combine, looked really good. There are some red flags in this profile that we tend to bring up. Not much production before Michael Penix arrived in Washington, but his senior year, we'll call it a super senior year. Anyway, he played really well. Solid season at Washington last year. I always referred to Matthew Harmon's reception perception chart. Very solid player here. And I believe that the stack with Caleb Williams long-term is a phenomenal stack to own in Dynasty. Again, I'm just going to have to practice patience due to all the veterans that are in front of him right now currently.
I tuned out because I was trying to get these people in here. But yeah. But, I mean, Odunze is definitely a patience pick for sure. I don't know how he just picked from being offline, but props to him for getting his pick out. But
also,
yeah, no,
shout out to this guy, Pokemon fanatic here. My man Brock's Gym.
Brock's Gym. Hey, notorious tough one unless you got Squirtle.
Stupid.
Just saying, man.
Xavier Worthy, 1-9. Yeah. So I was very happy TK did take Xavier Worthy at 1-6. I got to do something different because you thought I was taking Drake Maye at 1-7, but I wanted to do something different. I have a lot of shares of Drake Maye, so I wanted to not cash all my chips into one pot.
Yeah. Get one of Jayden Daniels just in case.
Yeah. I thought I was going to get Drake Maye too.
Nah, come on.
I did get McCarthy, though. I was happy with it.
Yeah. We'll see if Boomer makes it here in time. Nonetheless, any problems so far this round? I mean, I think we're pretty smooth.
Pretty standard.
Yeah.
This is where things change. This is where things get fun.
Yeah, you get to see. Well, after the one, I kind of say after the 1-9, it's kind of up for grabs. I think Worthy for most people is kind of locked into that 1-9 spot. Probably McCarthy at the 1-8, and then it gets dicey from there on out. 1-10 and on is I've seen all over the place. I've done 3 rookie drops so far, and the whole order is scrambled all over the place. I mean, sure, you got guys like Lad McConkey who stay pretty consistently 2-1, 2-2. But you never know. I mean, Keon Coleman, people are mixed on him. Jonathon Brooks is another guy.
I'm Trey Benson. Brooks guy.
So
I'm a big Brooks guy.
Yeah.
Like the landing spot. Like what they're trying to do over there for Bryce Young. Obviously, Deontay, a elite separator, target hog monster, coming in with Jonathon Brooks here. Free agent additions on the offensive line. Robert Hunt is the biggest one, obviously. These names stand out. You bring in Canales on that side of the ball. Rejuvenated Baker Mayfield's career last year. Obviously, I'm not going to say that Bryce Young has Baker Mayfield-esque weapons in Carolina, but they're cooking down there. There's some things that like for Bryce Young's development.
Come on.
So looks like our bookends here on auto pick. So Brian Thomas 1-10, Michael Penix. Oh, excuse me, Bo Nix 2-1, then Michael Penix is 2-2. Penix is 2-2.
So let's run through this. We got Caleb Williams at the 1-1, Marvin Harrison Jr. at the 1-2, Jayden Daniels 1-3, Malik Nabers 1-4, Drake Maye 1-5. You selected Brock Bowers at 1-6. I take Odunze 1-7, JJ McCarthy 1-8, Xavier Worthy 1-9, Brian Thomas Jr. 1-10. Kickoff round 2. We now have Bo Nix, back-to-back quarterbacks. Michael Penix 2-2, and Jonathon Brooks at the 2-3 with your brother on the clock.
Yeah, I gotta get him going. He's literally 2 rooms away from me. There's no excuse.
I'm picking this as a sort of dynasty Penix over Nix. I don't know. It's tough. I saw a number the other day where QBs that played outside of Sean Payton's systems and then played inside of Sean Payton's systems, drastic increases in their fantasy points per game. Russell Wilson, who's at 34 years old now, who has not looked like Russ in a couple of years, even averaged over 17 fantasy points per game in the Sean Payton system. Trevor Siemian was another name. Drew Brees was another name. Drew Brees averaged under 13 points per game in his early San Diego career to averaging over 20 fantasy points per game with Sean Payton. Obviously, Drew Brees is an outlier. We're talking about a Hall of Fame GOAT. But just names that threw out there that were interesting to me. And I think Sean Payton probably still has it. I'm not saying the Broncos look good last year by any means, but QBs tend to play well in a Sean Payton system. I think Bo Nix is actually very undervalued.
It's a weird one for me because I feel like he could be a quarterback where he's in and out. And I think best case scenario, he's a system guy, right? I mean, we know for a fact from his college play that he's accurate at short throws and medium throws. I think deep ball is where you kind of catch the flaws in Bo Nix's game. Can he get away with just a little short dink and dunk, make it down the field slowly in the NFL? Or because in my mind, I think you kind of have to somewhat develop a deep ball when coming into the NFL through Bo Nix.
I will say the things that I like about Bo Nix was that he operated in multiple systems in college, West Coast, spread it out offense in Oregon, and then in Auburn ran a pro-style system. I'm not saying there was much success in Auburn. There wasn't a lot of talent in Auburn. But at the same time, I've watched him manage both. I've watched him play with poise in both. I actually like where Bo Nix is as a value. Bo Nix, you're seeing fall anywhere from like 2.4 to 2.7, which I think is a great value for Bo Nix. Talk about a top 12 overall pick in this NFL draft here.
Yeah.
And if you're short a QB, if you need a QB, why not?
All right, we got Father Dynasty just in time. See what we got. 30 seconds up on the clock for him. I think it's a little bit too high for Jalen Polk here, but we'll see where he goes.
I'm going to bet Jalen Polk.
Keon Coleman.
Ooh.
Okay. Actually, the two guys that are here, I wouldn't mind either one being on Keon Coleman or Trey Benson. Going Trey Benson. I think solid landing spot in Arizona. You kind of have a vet in James Conner, who I'm sure they're trying to phase out. Trey Benson steps in, was at the top of his class coming out in high school. Found himself in Florida State. We never really had much of an offensive line. But you still saw flashes of skill from Trey Benson. I think the landing spot in Arizona with their ascending offense is big. You might have to give it a year, but Trey Benson, I'm at 2.6. I'm happy with.
Okay. That's why here I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my man here, Odunze Mitchell. Yes, I have spoken negatively about Odunze Mitchell here, but at the same time, I've seen flashes of brilliance in his game. I mean, we're talking about one of the best athletes to step onto the field at the combine this year. We're talking about elite separator, elite body control, elite hands, catch radius. We can talk about it a whole 9 yards. I will say this. I will say that the diabetes thing being brought up, okay, I understand that being a red flag for some. At the same time, I know this offense tends to probably lean more towards a best ball offense and a run-first offense with Indianapolis Colts. Like the skill set, like the talent here. Again, Michael Pittman wasn't one that succeeded in the route tree where Odunze Mitchell succeeds. Michael Pittman is a very short line of scrimmage type of guy, works anywhere from 5 to 10 yards out.
Yep.
Odunze Mitchell will take over the role of the other outside player over Alec Pierce. And I just like the chances of him being, like I said, it's a boomer bust situation, but I think he's going to earn his reps. I've been watching a lot of him in these mini camps, and I'm very impressed with what I'm seeing.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of those guys you're either in or out on. I mean, much like him and Keon Coleman, I think they're in the same boat of like you're either all the way in or all the way out. I've seen Keon Coleman and Mitchell go as high as 110 and 201, and then as low as you see here. I've seen Mitchell slip to the third round in one of my rookie drafts already. So there's some controversial guys, but I think they have the skill set to transfer. We'll see. I don't know how.
I will say this: I'm more in on Odunze Mitchell and his profile and his ability to separate and his ability to create for himself. Mixing in Odunze Mitchell's route running ability and separation ability, you get that with his body control and his hands. Keon Coleman doesn't offer me the ability to separate in any way.
Yeah. So the landing spot for Buffalo does do nothing for Keon Coleman?
It does. It has to be a conversation. I'm not saying it doesn't. But at the same time, if you're looking at players, when N'Keal Harry went first round, I'm not saying Keon Coleman's N'Keal Harry. I'm not saying that's going to be his career path, his career outlook. But when N'Keal Harry went first round, everybody wanted him.
Yeah.
It was the perfect scenario, right? These guys still flame out. Everybody's hyping up the Keon Coleman situation. It doesn't mean he's going to be good. It doesn't. If you're out on a player for the reasoning why, just because you get a good landing spot does not mean he's going to thrive.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. I mean, you saw last year Quentin Johnston, who got a huge jump because he was linked with Justin Herbert, and he fell flat on his face.
Sure.
I'm not saying Keon Coleman was going to do that exactly, but it's in the realm of possibilities.
And I think the analytical profile, you have to do some research on that as well. And I do think there's red flags in Mitchell's profile. I'm not saying there's not, but I think he has a cleaner profile than Keon Coleman.
Yeah. We're just quick to recap the second round since it's now completed. We had Bo Nix to the 2-1, Michael Penix to the 2-2. Kind of a surprise there at the top, two quarterbacks going. Jonathon Brooks to the 2-3, Ladd McConkey 2-4, Keon Coleman to the 2-5, Trey Benson to the 2-6, Mitchell falls to the 2-7, the Jet to the 2-8. Perceived New England wide receiver 1, Jalen Polk, and then Ricky Pearsall. Thoughts on Pearsall? Is he going to be okay? I think he's going to be a little bit buried in that offense. And I get the talent's there. I have no doubt about that. He's a great prospect. But I
love the talent. I truly do. I love the talent.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about it quite a bit. I do think the Niners are going to have to make a decision after the 2024 season. They are in cap purgatory. We've all seen the New Orleans Saints and how they manage their cap space and how they can push money around. So I think any team can do it. But as you look at their cap space, they are in cap purgatory. There's no way that they re-sign Brandon Ayuk with what they already have. It's just not possible. On top of that, you don't draft Ricky Pearsall in the first round without a plan. You just don't.
It's very true.
So with that being said, I do think there's a plan for Ricky Pearsall. Again, I think you have to be patient with Ricky Pearsall. I think that is a main focal point with Ricky Pearsall.
Yep.
But I do think he offers a lot of upside, especially in an offense like this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you can get a 2 spot in that offense, money. But until then, when he's buried behind 4 great targets, it's a little rough.
Dan, you about to take your Michigan boy?
Tough pick here, man. I don't know. There's another guy here, but I'm going to go with my Michigan boy. I mean, 3rd round feels like a great value for him. I get he's behind Kyron Williams, but we talk about this draft capital a ton. Blake Corum, I believe, went in the 3rd round.
Blake Corum did go 3rd round.
Yeah, top of the 3rd. And then you had Kyron Williams, who went late in the draft and kind of came onto the scene as a big guy. Now, for sure, I still think it's Kyron's job, but I think now with Corum applying pressure, we'll see what happens with the system.
I think the leash is short.
Think the leash is short?
I like Blake Corum's running style, man. I like that.
Yeah, I do too.
I love that clean, precise Doug Martin type running style. He runs tough. He runs hard. He's decisive. And he's going to make you miss. He's a monster, man. I do like Blake Corum, and I don't give anybody from Michigan praise.
That's fair, actually. I'm assuming you're going your boy here. I mean, there's 2 guys.
Yeah, I'm going to take the New England Patriots wide receiver 1, Mr. Javon Baker.
All receivers for you. Love this class, huh?
Yeah. I do know the hit rate on anybody in day 3, the 4th round to the 7th round to the undrafted free agent guys. I know it's very small. I do think there are some players here, i.e. Troy Franklin, good pick by your brother in the 3rd round. Troy Franklin, I do not feel should fall into the 3rd round. And Javon Baker and Jermaine Burton as well. But Jermaine Burton went 3rd round, but he was close to the 4th round. But these guys, I just feel like the analytical profiles will pan out for these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about Troy Franklin getting that perfect landing spot, not much target competition, getting to play with his college QB.
Yep.
Going to earn reps early. Love it. Javon Baker, no true wide receiver competition. Not worried about Kendrick Bourne, not worried about Demario Douglas. I like Jalen Polk, but I'll tell you I like Javon Baker more. Always have.
Always have, always will.
Yeah. I think the best wide receivers will play for sure in this offense. Javon Baker is going to earn meaningful snaps early.
Yeah.
So we have a third round. We're almost done with the third round here already. So we do have Jalen Wright, 3-1, MarShawn Lloyd, 3-2, Jalen McMillan, 3-3, Troy Franklin, 3-4, Jermaine Burton, 3-5. Also like that pick, by the way. Blake Corum, 3-6, Javon Baker, 3-7, Sanat, 3-8, Malik Washington, 3-9. Boomer's on the clock at the 3-10.
Boomer thinking it out. He's been here the whole time. He's sweating this pick. Given this is kind of a weird range needed, to be honest.
Who do you think is the wide receiver one for the New England Patriots?
Well, I think you always look at draft cap. You figure they went top the second round with Jalen Polk, so you would imagine as long as everything goes well in training camp, it's probably going to be Polk. I mean, we've seen a few instances recently where, like a Treylon Burks kind of falls out. But
what about insulated draft capital? Let's talk about insulated draft capital from last year. Let's use Jonathan Mingo is the main example for insulated draft capital.
Sure.
Going into the pre-draft process, nobody knew who Jonathan Mingo was, other than he was an Ole Miss wide receiver. Great day at the combine, pushed him into the second round. Why?
That combine, man, it gets a lot of people excited. I mean, you see it year in, year out. Look at Zach Wilson. He had people fooled for 2-3 seasons in the community that he was that guy off of one great throw in the pro day. I mean, there's such – I don't know. People get hype off of him. I'm not going to understand it. I don't think you will either. But
that's what I'm saying.
Hell of a drug, man.
So Mingo was insulated draft capital.
Yeah,
I watched Adonai Mitchell blow Jonathan Mingo's workouts out of the water. No love, just because of diabetes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things are so drastic year to year in this, but what did anybody love about Jonathan Mingo?
Yeah, not a whole lot.
He was told last year to me and you that he was a name that we had to know.
We must know.
We must know him. Why?
It's tough, man. But, dude, I don't know, dude. I can't explain it. It's just like every year it feels like a few guys get pushed up boards that don't exactly deserve it. Although I kind of bought into the Mingo hype myself a little bit. I won't kind of just, but don't. You didn't hear nothing from me, but
I'm just asking the questions, man.
Yeah, I get it. I feel like everybody's chasing that guy to say, "Oh, well, I knew that he was going to be that guy," and take him a little bit early and be kind of like you with Javon Baker. You're like, "Oh, Javon Baker, I've seen you take him as high as 210, 3-1 area." Just to say, hey, that's my guy. I'm putting my stamp on this guy to hit. And if you hit, you look smart. But if you miss,
Troy Franklin's also my guy too.
Yeah, Troy Franklin too. Both of our guys. And another guy that's we're big fans of still on the board too. So you start to think some of these dynasty pros who put us onto these people. It's tough. Have a good night, Beachhead. Take care, buddy. We'll see you in the next one, I'm sure. Thanks for coming out. Fourth round. Who's your main target here? I think Seth is gonna auto pick on this last pick. I know we had the running joke of Theo Johnson for you in the fourth round. Is that your true fourth round value, or is there somebody?
Yeah, I do like Theo Johnson. I know we're still waiting on the Darren Waller.
That whole
decision. I do know that he's going through a lot. He's older. Injuries have happened the last 3 years for Darren Waller. He's never truly played full seasons in the NFL, not consistently. I know he's going through a divorce right now too, so he's got a lot of problems outside of football right now. I get it. I do. But Daniel Bellinger, that's not it. He's not it, Chief.
Not it.
And I'll be honest with you, again, maybe a little homer. I'm a big fan of Theo Johnson. I'm a big fan of his athletic profile. I do think that Theo Johnson offers a lot of upside for this offense in certain areas of the field. And I think tight end is a position that you can learn in the NFL. He didn't get a whole lot of standout performances at Penn State, but at the same time, he's a solid athlete. He's always been a solid athlete. He's been a highly sought after tight end since he was in high school.
Yeah, for sure. So tough for me here. I got to go between two guys, but this is a guy that I've kind of come on strong too late because I like the landing spot. And I was late to this tape, so I'm just now coming around to being a fan to him. But I feel like it's at the right time. I'm going Ray Davis here in Buffalo. I think he has a legitimate chance to carve out a role as the Thunder to James Cook's Lightning. Maybe get some of those red zone touchdowns, maybe sneak a few in, try to find some traction in this offense. And it is one hell of an offense with Josh Allen. I know you can look at me and say, hey, Josh Allen takes the ball in the red zone too, but at least they have a running back option that can get in there and get the job done at the goal line instead of just depending on James Cook and try to stuff it in.
I agree. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my running back, one of my sleepers here as well. Again, very bad pro day. Did not work out for him in that aspect.
That was so fun.
But I will say his tape is immaculate. He knows how to make jokers miss. He knows how to make jokers miss consistently. He's a lot bigger than what he weighs. He runs a lot bigger than what he weighs. I'm a big fan of Bucky Irving. I do not think that Rachaad White will have the same volume he had last year. There is no running back competition behind Bucky Irving. Sean Tucker, undrafted free agent. We all know the story of Sean Tucker last year with a heart issue. Deuce Vaughn, okay, great. It's Bucky Irving. He's going to earn the number 2 role here. And I'm good with that. I think I'm going to take a chance on here. Another solid offense. You know, you're looking for a backup who possibly could earn some reps. Bucky Irving's that guy.
Yeah.
Like this name a lot too.
That's it. These running backs in the 4th round, I think all from Vidal, Ray Davis, Estime, and Tracy, even Bucky, I think these are all guys that can get involved. I think Braylon Allen has a window, but I think it's a lot smaller of a window given Breece Hall is there. So, I mean, it's tough to outbeat Breece Hall, right? But Vidal has limited competition there with the Chargers, who are going to run first offense, no doubt. They took the 2 guys from the Ravens last year, Gus Edwards, who's not, in my mind, an RB1 and can't handle the workload, and J.K. Dobbins, who can't stay healthy, coming off an Achilles tear. So you look at a window there for Vidal in the 4th round, I think that's a solid value.
I agree. I think Vidal should honestly be pushed up more towards the end of the 3rd.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, just based off upside alone. And I know it's a scary thing to say, but come training camp time, we might see Vidal moving up these boards pretty quick.
My boy
Although I'd imagine most rookie drafts are probably over by then.
My boy Theo.
Theo went, man. He must have been watching.
So I always ask this question. Is there any picks that surprise you here? Because to be honest with you, outside of like Laube, McConkey, and Jonathon Brooks, flip them with Nix and Penix, I think this board's pretty clean, to be honest.
Yeah, this is your pretty standard board. Like you said, you already touched on it. Nix and Penix that high is surprising to me. As far as everything else goes, McMillan went a little high for my liking. But I mean, if that's your guy, that's where you're drafting him at the 3-3. Anywhere in the 3rd round is where you're looking to get McMillan. So I really don't have a problem with that. I'm pretty happy with this board. Even Roman Wilson slides at the 4-1 spot, I think is money, to be honest with you.
Agreed. Also, going to stand out like Troy Franklin at the 3-4. I do think he's a back-end 2nd round pick now. Still wish I had the opportunity to take him in the 1st round. But he's going to slide. It's a huge slide here for Troy Franklin, analytical darling. Love it. Jermaine Burton was gaining a lot of hype. Of hype. We weren't even drafting Jermaine Burton before this whole process. Now he's going 3rd round. That's a huge jump in his ADP. Yeah. For some reason, Ben Sinnott falling to the late 3rd round really stands out as a value to me as well.
I mean, you and I passed on him.
I did. I got my guy. Javon Baker's my guy.
Yeah. Well, you already know how I feel about Corum. But I think Sinnott in that range is kind of like right where he's at, to be honest with you. I mean, everybody's in love with these receivers this season. Honestly, they are. It's a deep class. And we could see a few of them break out. But like I said, these elite landing spots, like Burton to Cincinnati, pushes him up the board immediately. Laube McConkey, I guess he's kind of going around the same range he was before, but even him with the Chargers is a huge landing spot. Keon Coleman went to Buffalo. So it's Ricky Pearsall at San Francisco that pushed him up boards. So it's like one of those things where people are drafting them for the opportunity in hopes that like these NFL teams went and got their guy they believe in, and they're ready to roll.
I just think like when you look at a receiving profile like Ben Sinnott, athletic profile like Ben Sinnott, top 55 draft cap, goes pick 53 to the Commanders, I think that has to stand out to you as well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, honestly, from what I've seen from camp and the few clips I've seen, he looks pretty smooth.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I think he's going to be a focal point for Jayden Daniels.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We're
talking about long-term here. Long-term. Yeah. Realistically, how much in the tank are you looking at Austin Eckler being a huge role contributor? You know how running backs are at the same time, like McLaurin he's the only focal point.
Right.
Before we get out of here, ready to trade Hollywood, Worthy, and J.K. Dobbins for Bijan. You give me Bijan.
Give me Bijan. Yeah, I think that's a lot of opportunity. I mean, you got Worthy and Hollywood who are both linked with. Oh, IDP, nice. Or are both linked with Mahomes. So you're obviously the guy. Well, depending on which side you're on, I'm assuming the Bijan side. I think you're trying to buy in on Mahomes. Wide receiver 1, and then throw in who was the other piece?
You had Hollywood, Worthy, and J.K. Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins. I have no faith in J.K. Dobbins. It might as well just been the 2 receivers for Bijan. But if you're getting Bijan in this situation, I think that's money. I can't see a world where if this ended up in my mailbox, I wouldn't be smashing except it ASAP.
Yeah. So for 10 team leagues. Honestly, I'm looking to acquire star power. I give up depth in a 10-team league for star power. So when you're talking about a Bijan Robinson, who averaged over 15 fantasy points per game last year, in a terrible usage situation, there were times where we had no idea what was wrong with Bijan Robinson. If something was wrong with Bijan Robinson, he wasn't touching the ball consistently. And now I think that changes. I really do think that changes. I think you're going to see the 17 to 20 touch Bijan Robinson for a full slate. He's one of the most talented running backs in the league. Love the offense that he has. Love the protection up front. Bijan's a star. I'll trade that any day of the week for Bijan Robinson. You definitely
for sure. I mean, I get you sacrifice a little bit of depth here, but I think you get the best player in the deal by far. I think that's.
I don't really see the depth either that he got rid of.
I'm assuming it's a dynasty league where these.
It is. It's a dynasty league, but. Yeah. At the same time, I like Hollywood and I like Worthy, but no.
Bijan, RB 1, 2, depending on how you have your rankings.
I have it 1, but I have Breece Hall 2, but
go get your studs. Great trade, brother.
Straight stud.
But anything else before we close this one out?
No, I think that's going to be it for us. I appreciate the opportunity to come in here and answer a question, by the way, because I'm excited for us to get in season, start doing start sits, and get everything ready to go into. I do appreciate that as well. But on that note, as always, I'm always going to say, if you like the video, if you like the content you saw tonight, like, comment, most importantly, subscribe. Yards Per is pushing the 2K subscriber mark, and it'll be a blast to get there. It's an awesome number to hit. Just shows the success over for the team over at Yards Per Fantasy. Also, they just created the projections template. Matt Flowers did, so check that out. It is a awesome template. Ryan, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, just to reiterate on that template, I've been playing with it. I mean, you can go down the line for any draft that you've done, or if you want to just project a draft for your draft strategy, it's all there. There's videos on how I explain how it works. I would definitely go check that out if you're tuning in for this video. Also, their rookie guide is out, so you can take everything that we learned, everything we did today, and you can go read about them. I mean, it's an extensive list, like 1 through, I think 65 players are on there, something like that. So all the way up and down rounds 1 through 4, you're going to find all the way down to Isaac Guerrero. That's definitely a huge thing I've been using as well to gauge value and gauge these later rounds. That being said, everybody, thank you for coming in and then watching our show tonight. Got another mock draft for you. We're closing out these things out. we'll see how many more we got in us. But for now, we're out of here.
See you guys.